Pierre Poilievre just absolutely unloads on Mark Carney in a couple clips that I have here to show. This is an ad that Pierre Poilievre just released about 40 minutes ago or so. Then I have another clip to show you. I'm not going to be doing too much commentary because my voice is kind of going out on me here, so just bear with me. But we're going to get into this, and then we're going to talk about it after a little bit. But before we do get into it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps grow the channel. And I appreciate you guys so much for doing that for me. So let's have a look, and then we'll talk about it.
Triple. That's how much American tariffs on Canadian lumber have gone up since Mark Carney was elected, promising to negotiate a win. Remember, he promised that he'd have a deal by July 21st, and yet here we are in October. Still no deal, still no win. And today, the Americans jacked up the tariffs on our lumber by another 10 percentage points after Carney made concession after concession after concession. We saw how weak he was in the White House, failing to stand up for Canada, failing to stand up for our lumber workers. These are not just loggers, they're also the mill workers and the countless others that transport the lumber. All of their jobs are at risk because of our weak Prime Minister who's broken his promise that he would defend them. And here we are with a weak economy. Prime Minister promised it would be the fastest growing economy in the G7. We have the fastest shrinking economy. Home building is actually down after he promised it would go up. Enough. We need a plan to supercharge our economy and stand up for Canada first. So, my plan is to pass the Canadian Sovereignty Act, which will cut taxes on work, investment, home building, and energy, unlocking resource potential, quickly approving massive projects like pipelines, mines, LNG plants, ports, plants, and terminals. We will also eliminate capital gains tax on anyone who reinvests here in Canada. This will be like economic rocket fuel for our country. This will give us the physical, the economic strength so that when we go negotiating with the Americans, they know that we have options that we can buy from ourselves and sell to the rest of the world. All things that we know we can get done if only the federal government will get out of the way. Next, we have a housing shortage. Our housing is the most expensive in the G7 after it doubled under the Liberals. Our young people can't afford a place to live. We need to build the homes with Canadian lumber. How do we do that? Get rid of taxes on home building. About a third of the cost of new homes in Ontario is direct taxes. Another 20% is the cost of red tape and administrative burdens. If we can get the government out of the way, then we can build the homes that will create the demand for our lumber, creating jobs for our loggers, our mill workers, our trades workers, and most importantly of all, making home ownership a real possibility for everyone. That's how we work to restore the strength of our country. It's how we bring back the Canadian promise. It's how we put Canada first.
I mean, very well said. And he's absolutely right. I mean, Mark Carney is a massive fraud. The whole elbows up thing, drop the tariffs, drop the TST. He's been very, overly friendly with Trump. Not being diplomatic, but just I wore red for you. I'll never let that go, by the way. That was the funniest thing ever. But I mean, Trump was, making, statements about the trans community, kind of making fun of them. Mark Carney's, one of his kids is trans. He didn't stand up for his own kid. He didn't stand up for someone that he has raised his whole life and taken care of his whole life. Do you think he's going to stand up for Canadians? Or maybe do you think he's just standing up for himself and his business and his investments? Maybe that's why he's in this. And also to continue what Justin Trudeau was not smart enough to do and destroy this middle class. And if you destroy the middle class, you destroy a country. Or maybe this is all just an accident and Mark Carney and Justin Trudeau were just really stupid people, not smart at all, and this all happened by accident. That's what some people think. I disagree with that. I don't think Justin Trudeau's stupid in terms of what you would consider intelligent for a politician, but he was smart enough to get things going and to trick people 3 times. Mark Carney is just here to finish off what Justin Trudeau couldn't finish. Now I got this other clip for you here. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just going to play a few minutes of it. But yeah, we'll get into that and then we'll talk about that after as well.
that Mark Carney's entire elbows up campaign was a gigantic fraud.
Yep.
He didn't mean a word of it. His wife's firm was putting out memos in the middle of the campaign saying, don't worry about the Liberals promising to counter tariff and be tough on the U.S. They don't really mean it. They won't really do it.
I didn't even remember that.
He was quietly removing the tariffs while going to campaign rallies promising to put them back on. He told the president in a phone call, I don't mean all that stuff I'm saying about you. So it means he's two-faced. And since the election has happened, he's done exactly the opposite of everything he promised. And I should be clear, this was not a promise. This was the promise he ran on in the election. It was the only thing that got him elected. He said, ignore 10 years of rising food prices, housing costs, out-of-control immigration and crime, because I'm the only guy who can negotiate with the Americans. And that turned out to be a gigantic fraud. So the entire foundation of Mark Carney's election campaign was not only a broken promise, it was a fraud for which thousands of Canadians are paying today with lost jobs. We cannot trust anything that Mark Carney says. And then there's this $1 trillion. It's time for him to do some explaining. Because I'm just reading his quote here. He says, we are the largest foreign investor in the United States, $500 billion in the last 5 years alone. Probably $1 trillion in the next 5 years if we get the agreement we expect to get. So that means he intends to put right in the agreement that he's going to push $1 trillion of investment to the United States. How is he going to do that? He said it would be private investment, so he's going to pass a law forcing pension funds and insurance companies to push their money to the States out of Canada. Is he just going to keep in place the high taxes and anti-development policies that have already forced hundreds of billions of dollars of investment abroad? And are the Americans committing to send $1 trillion back? He says this is just normal capital flows between countries. Surely, then President Trump is going to be committing to $1 trillion of investment in Canada. To be clear, $1 trillion is the equivalent of a third of our entire GDP. It's like literally all the economic activity for 4 consecutive months. And Mark Carney wants to send it away. This means factories, mines, mills, and other businesses closing in Canada and opening in the United States. Where was that in Mark Carney's election platform? That he was going to push $1 trillion of Canadian investment to the U.S. I'm very curious if any of you could find that. In fact, he has broken all of his promises, and we can't trust him anymore. We're in the House of Commons today. We are debating a Conservative motion exposing the insanity of doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Remember, Justin Trudeau promised 10 years ago that deficits would lead to investment. That was what he meant when he said the budget would balance itself. Over in that building, he said, you see, if you run deficits, they will spark investment, which will grow the economy and increase tax revenues, and the budget will balance itself. Well, Mark Carney wrapped it up in a more sophisticated sounding, but not all too different slogan, and it was a slogan, spend less and invest more, but it meant exactly the same thing, that government deficits would generate investment that would grow the economy. Well, how has it worked over the last 10 years? Because it's exactly the same formula. Well, we've had the worst per capita growth in the G7. Per capita investment in Canada is actually down 10% in Canada. Again, the worst in the G7. They then repromised this during COVID. They said after COVID was done, they were going to make generational investments that would grow our economy. And here we are, our per capita GDP is smaller than it was in 2019. And they expect to repeat this same lead to gold, deficits to investment promise that they've been breaking for 10 years. The only difference between Carney and Trudeau is that Carney dresses up his monster money-losing deficits in the respectability of a banker's suit with more sophisticated slogans and even bigger costs. But it will, at the end, have the same deadly results for our economy.
Okay, I'm going to cut it off there. But I mean, you know, by the way, I should also mention this is from a few days ago. I played a clip from it, but I forgot that I wanted to cover more of that, so I was doing that today. But yeah, I mean, either way, Mark Carney, when Pierre Poilievre says that Mark Carney is a fraud, that's an understatement. Everything that's going on right now, Mark Carney never said during his campaign that he was going to be soft on Trump. He said the opposite. This is beyond diplomacy at this point. This is not Mark Carney kissing up to Trump, which you do have to do a little bit. But this is way over the top. He sat there and hasn't defended his own kids from a joke from Trump. He hasn't defended Canada from the tariffs. He's dropped retaliatory tariffs. He's being extremely friendly with Trump. Not not in a diplomatic way, but in a way where it's like it looks like they're actually friends, best friends. But liberals always like to tell me that Trump and Putin are friends. Weird. Seems like it's Trump and Mark Carney who are friends, doesn't it? Let me know what you think in the comments. I do apologize. I'm going to cut this off here. I'm starting to lose my voice again, but please, again, don't forget to like and subscribe, share, and comment this video. Let's have the YouTube algorithm really push this one out. I appreciate you guys for putting up with the the raspy voice today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back shortly with a new one.